Okay, so in this video, I'll be discussing a program that I wrote entirely in Python called the Summarizer. I have the GUI pulled up here in Sublime right now. And like I said before, this is programmed entirely in Python using the PyQt5 module for GUI development, and then a library called Summary Tools that I made that houses a lot of the other libraries for scraping web pages and collecting audio from a YouTube link. With this code in the Summary Tools library, I'll probably make a separate video explaining everything in detail of what everything does in here. But each class in here has its own function for when we are in the GUI and we call things like, okay, we want to summarize a web article, or we want to summarize a YouTube video and get the audio and write it to a text file. I also plan on adding a feature that uses optical character recognition to look at PDFs and be able to create summaries from PDFs as well. But the easiest thing to do with PDFs, I think, would be to just pull the text and summarize it there. But I just wanted an excuse to use some OCR technology. So I'm going to start here by going to a web article. What I have it doing right now in the program is it defaults to Wikipedia. Because I figure if you need a summary of anything, really, you go to a dictionary. And the closest thing to an online dictionary that I know of besides dictionary.com is Wikipedia. So what we can do is we type in something like, let's say, apples. So if I wanted a summary of apples, it'll give me a summary of the fruit. But let's say I wanted Apple Company. That specifies in Wikipedia that, okay, we are looking for Apple, but what Apple? Do we want the fruit, or do we want a company, or do we want whatever else Apple may be? But if we specify company, it'll say, okay, I'm looking for the company called Apple. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit the go button, and then we'll see down here that it'll collect just a raw text of the summary of Apple, the company. And I have over here the folder that's pulled up. It's located in my my C drive on my desktop. The summaries folder that's created. We get the text output, .text. So we can open up the text output, and once again, that's just the raw text that we saw printed down here in the console. But what I also have it doing is I have a library that allows it to open up a Word document with the same summary. So it looks a little bit cleaner. It's nicer. I get, it's a summary of the Apple company. So I feed the conversion program the name of the query that we searched. So we searched Apple company. So we're saying it's the summary of what you just searched, which is the Apple company. And now I can exit that. And we see here that we also have an audio folder. It's empty right now because we don't have any audio. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our GUI, and we can select the YouTube audio. I'm going to delete this. And the video that I have selected is this one right here called This Robot Throws Objects with Amazing Precision. It's from a channel called 2 Minute Papers. I like that channel because it's a pretty good channel that talks about, on a higher level, some fields that may be emerging in artificial intelligence or computer science or whatever. Mainly this channel focuses on artificial intelligence, machine learning, stuff like that. So the narrator talks about these scientific papers and tries to boil it down to a 2-minute presentation. We can see here that it wasn't really boiled down to 2 minutes. This one in particular is 3 minutes and 57 seconds, which is relatively short for most YouTube videos now. So what I'm going to do is I already have that link copied. So because I have YouTube audio selected, I'm just going to paste that URL into the bar. And then I'm going to hit this go button again, and we're going to see this console just pop up with so much information that I have programmed in about what it's going to do is display the download data, where it's going to, what the information that's grabbing, such as if it's grabbing the duration of the video, or what the title is, and then I have some functions in there to convert the title from its raw format into something that's compressible, so we can kind of store it as a file format so it doesn't get lost in any directories. I guess we'll go ahead and I'll show you what that does. So I'll expand this console a little bit so we can fit everything on here. I'll hit go. I'll kind of minimize this, but we get the YouTube video information, where it's saved to, how long it took, the destination folders, if the conversion was successful, and then we run a process which I call Chunkify. And Chunkify does exactly what it sounds like. It takes the audio clip, which is originally an MP3 file, that's then converted into a WAV format, so our speech recognizer can take the spoken words and turn them into text to get our summary. It chunks it up into a whole bunch of different segments. Right now I have it going in 15-second increments, so every 15 seconds it'll take a chunk from the original audio file and create its own WAV file from it. And then what we're doing is, when we're transcribing and punctuating down here, we're taking each chunk and sending it to the Google Cloud API that's allowing the audio to be transcribed into just a raw text format. And I have this punctuating part here because, like I said, we only have raw text. There's no punctuation, no way of making sense unless you are going to read it all in one long breath, and no one reads like that. So there's a module on GitHub called Punctuator that uses the Natural Language Toolkit and a couple other machine learning algorithms to punctuate the raw text. There's a demo of it that you can find online, but we'll probably get to that in another portion. So now that we see that we're done transcribing and punctuating, we've done all 16 chunks that were created. It took us about 101 seconds. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to the folder that we were at before, and then we have an audio output text file. And once again, it's just the raw text, so I can just keep scrolling and scrolling, and then, our eyes can get strained out, and we want a better version of it. So I opened up this audio file, and we can see here that we have the original file that's pulled from the YouTube video in MP3 format. Then we convert it to a WAV format so the Google Cloud API can use it properly. And then here we have all of the chunks that were created from this original WAV file. And these are all 15 seconds long apiece. So we send each clip, we transcribe it, we punctuate it, and we add it to this audio output text file. So now we still have this complete summary here. And what we can do is we can open this, and we have the summary of "This robot throws objects with amazing precision," that video that we just grabbed. One thing that I will note, this needs some work, is we have this line here. He always opens with "Dear fellow scholars." Okay, so "Dear fellow scholars," we got that. This is too many papers with casual affair here. This part is correct. This is too many papers. But he speaks his name here, and he's not a fluent, well, I shouldn't say he's not fluent. He's not a native English speaker. So he actually says his name here. And for the life of me, I can't pronounce his name, but he can. And Google Cloud doesn't understand it because he says it so quickly. But as we can see, if I open up the raw text here, it's transcribed as well as punctuated. So what we do is we take this and we put it into this Word document, and it just looks a little bit nicer. We can read it without having to scroll infinitely to the right. But for the most part, I would say that this transcribes the audio with about, I'd say probably 80% success rate, only because, like I said, he's not a native English speaker, so his accent kind of throws off some of the transcription, as well as the punctuation from the trained model that's used in the punctuator library in my class file for the summary tools. We can see here we have this word diversified, right? We have, in a way, that's when running out of objects, it can restart itself without human help. Diversified, as you see here during training. So he actually says nice here. And I don't know why it comes out as diversified, but that's just one of the examples of the power of just taking raw audio and transcribing it, as well as having a non-native English speaker and also trying to transcribe their English. There are different ways to adjust for ambient noise and for, I think they have in the punctuator module, like accents. I haven't actually fiddled around with that yet. But that is about it for what I have for this summarizer module. Like I said, I hope to be soon adding a PDF version as well, because what I'd like to do with this is download scientific papers and some older scientific papers, if they're not written in a PDF format that has highlightable text. Sometimes they're just images, like scanned copies of older papers. So if it's an older paper from, let's say, the 1800s and it was handwritten, we can use an OCR methodology to pick up handwritten characters and then create a summary from the handwritten characters as well. But if we have highlightable text, we can still just have a PDF option, and we can navigate to where this PDF is on our local machine, and from there we can get a summary and so on and so forth. I hope you enjoyed this video.